Hi everyone, today I wanted to share a few tips for beginner performers to feel a little less nervous when playing music for the first time in front of others. So my first studio recital is coming up next Friday, the 22nd, and it's a lot of my students' first times performing for the public. So a lot of them are super nervous and a lot of them are totally fine, but I just wanted to spend some time today to talk about a few ways that you can feel a little more at ease when you're performing for either the first time or the 100th time. It doesn't really matter. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth and I run the blog lifefromtheviolasection.com, where I share my favorite practice tips, general advice, and tech for musicians. So my first and most basic tip for beginner performers is to keep breathing. You need to breathe to get through life, and if you just kind of focus on your breath, that can really help ground you and help you feel more at ease. A lot of times when I'm nervous, I forget to breathe and I'm like holding my breath or I'm taking really shallow breaths. But if I focus on keeping my breaths really deep, it helps me feel a little more relaxed and at ease, and my heart doesn't beat quite as fast. So that's a great way to make yourself feel physically a little more comfortable. But of course, a lot of it is mental. So let's talk about some of that. One of the best ways to feel comfortable performing your music in front of others is to practice it so that you know it well enough that if you make a mistake, you can just breeze right through it, and hopefully you won't make mistakes, but everyone inevitably will, because we're all human and we all make mistakes. So don't count on having a mistake-free performance, but try to eliminate as many mistakes as you can by knowing your music as well as you can based on your circumstances. So if and when you do make a mistake when you're performing, there are a few ways that you can overcome it. The first way is to keep playing and just pretend it didn't happen. You are going to be the one to notice all of your mistakes, and the other people in the audience who don't know your music won't know that anything happened. They won't realize it unless you make it into a big deal. So no one is going to hear that mistake you made unless you look frustrated and you stop playing and then pick it back up. Then people start to get kind of alerted that something's a little weird. So if you can just keep going and act like nothing happened, that's usually the best way to just breeze through it. If you're playing the piano, you can keep maybe your left hand going if that has a rhythmic background, and if you keep that rhythm going, then the right hand can kind of come in whenever. For violin or viola or any string player, if you can keep going a note that sounds okay until you find your place or you can get back on with your left hand, that works. Or if you can just improvise something for a second or two, that also works. You can also determine kind of a safe spot or a few safe spots in your music to go back to if you lose your place or if you just make a mistake so bad that you can't figure out how to keep going. So you can find a spot that you know really well and just start playing there and keep going. And hopefully you won't make the same mistake again when you get to that spot again. But that's a way that you can just keep playing music. Even if it's not exactly what was written, you're still going, and the audience likely won't notice an interruption in the flow if you do keep it moving. One thing I like to do is I like to decide ahead of time what I'll do if I make a mistake in a tricky spot. So sometimes there are spots in the music where I mess up really often, especially as I'm doing run-throughs getting ready for a recital. So if I have a spot where I keep messing up, I think, okay, how can I simplify this so that I either don't mess it up at all, or if I mess up, I can kind of bump it down a notch and make it a little easier. So if that's on viola, maybe there are double stops. Maybe I know I can drop one line, or I can drop one note here, one note there, and then it'll go a little bit smoother. If you're on piano, maybe you have to simplify the left hand a little bit or simplify the right hand just a little bit, and that could free up some mistakes. Just deciding that you have kind of a backup plan ahead of time can make you feel a lot more at ease, just knowing that if something happens, you're covered and you know how you're gonna fix it. The most important thing overall is to keep the rhythm going so that the audience doesn't notice an interruption in the flow and the feeling of the music, because they don't know what all the notes are, but once they get the rhythm down and they get the feeling of the music, then when they notice an interruption in that, then they'll think that either you're going on to something else or maybe you made a mistake. So if at all you can just keep it moving, that's the best option. One thing that really helps me when I'm really nervous to perform is thinking about what I want to convey with the music, what I want the audience to feel or think about as I'm playing the music. So I know when we're in our lessons, our teachers tell us what mistakes we've made and how to fix them, and then it sometimes feels like music is all about fixing mistakes and not making mistakes and being perfect, but that's not what it's about. Why do you listen to music? You probably listen to music to feel an emotion or to hear a story or to remember a happy time. You don't always think about whether the person playing the music is doing a perfect job. You're more thinking about how it affects you as a listener. So think about that from the other side. How can you affect the listener? How can you give the audience something nice to remember? How can you convey an emotion or tell a story? Thinking about those things can free up your mind from thinking about all the technique and every little thing that you have to do, and think about the overall picture. It's kind of like just zooming out, and that can make things seem a lot easier. My last tip today is one that isn't as fun, but it can be very fun. So a good way to really prepare for performance is to get yourself nervous, which doesn't sound like fun, but it's a lot better to practice being nervous than to get nervous for the first time at a performance and have a breakdown. So one really good way to get yourself nervous when preparing for performance is to record yourself. So sometimes recording ourselves can just mean propping your phone up on something, pressing record on a video, and then making it. Then the harder part is to watch it back. You have to watch it back. That's one of the hardest things. But some people get really affected once they start recording. They know that it's permanent and that if they make a mistake, it's there forever. So that is one way to get yourself really nervous, but then you can see how you react under pressure. And you can really see what the difficult spots in your music are, where you're likely to mess up at the real performance, and how it might go. So it's really, really great to do run-throughs of your music and record a few times before a performance. I'd say like starting about 2 weeks before the performance. Of course, it depends on how big your piece is, how big the performance is. The bigger the piece and performance, the longer ahead of time I would go. But practicing getting nervous is a great way to prepare for performing, because you never really know how your body's going to react until the actual thing happens. I've had performances where I've been very, very, very nervous, both physically and mentally, and I've had performances where I felt nothing at all. So it can be very hit or miss, and it can depend on the music you're playing, the day, the location, so many different factors. So it's great to practice getting nervous in different situations so that you know yourself better and you can understand how you can overcome it. So those are just a few of my tips for beginners who are performing. I'm so excited for my studio recital on the 22nd. If you'd like to be there, it is all live on Zoom. So you can RSVP for the Zoom link down in the description box below. I'd love to see you there. And if you're one of my students watching this, hi, I'm so excited for our recital, and I'm so excited to see all of your costumes. It's going to be so much fun. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I post new musical videos every Sunday at noon Eastern Time. Thanks for watching.